The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm Commander COVID.
and that's CJ, better known as Admiral. Admiral, you got promoted. Don't demote yourself, CJ. You're Admiral. Starfleet Admiral. All right, we got a huge show today. We got big stuff to talk about, so let's get the COVID in.
Okay. As of yesterday, Massachusetts total count was 523,258. New cases is 2,213. Total deaths is 14,964. New deaths is 61. Bristol County had 53,243. And now, finally, the Fall River counts. Fall River had a total uptick of 298 cases since last Thursday, which equates to about 45 a day, bringing our total up to 11,889. We had 10 new deaths, bringing us up to 301 new deaths, or total deaths. So, but in all fairness, according to the state, our numbers are going down dramatically across the state. 3/4 of the state the numbers have gone down dramatically. More cities and towns are coming out of the red zone. So maybe people are finally doing something right. I only can hope. And hopefully this isn't a glitch that turns itself around in the next couple of days or couple of weeks.
Yeah. Can we trust the figures, though? As a matter of fact, not 5 minutes ago, I was watching local news, and they said that Harvard has graded all the states in 4 categories. And, of course, they were saying it because it's a Rhode Island-based station. And Rhode Island got an F in all 4 categories, including vaccinations. Massachusetts, on the other hand, was far better. We only got 3 Fs and a D. So we got a D in the dissemination of the vaccine, but we got 3 Fs in the other 3 categories. So we're not doing very well with our governors, and so hopefully that we're turning a corner and they'll learn. But we got huge stuff. But before we do, CJ, I'm gonna just clean up something from last show. Looks like this is going to go 3 shows. We talked about the parliamentary procedure. We got a lot of feedback. Thank you, feedbackers, all you people who are talking about it. Just want to make another point here that I made 2 quick points. Even if that motion could be reconsidered, which it can't parliamentarily, unfortunately, the vice chairman probably doesn't realize that he can't make a vote to reconsider when he never voted on the motion because he was out of the room. So you have to be on the prevailing side to vote on to make a motion to reconsider, and he was on no side because he wasn't even in the vote. So that one, and the second one is I saw a post from Rebecca Cusick and the teachers union about their memorandum of agreement, the MOA that was on the agenda that they didn't finish thanks to the gang of FOA. And she was saying that she spoke to Mark Costa about it, and they said they'd get it later, and she was telling people. Well, I just want to let all you school teachers out there and Rebecca, I advise you to watch that meeting again. The reason your MOA was not voted on was the gang of 4 again. Mr. Costa and his crew refused to go into executive session. And again, 2 straight days, 2 straight shows, I'm giving the mayor a thumbs up. Because if you watch the meeting, and it's on YouTube, the mayor said when they refused to go in executive session, We have an MOA that we have to dispose of. Let's go into executive session. If there's things you don't want to talk about, well, you can do whatever you want on those. But I've got to give the mayor credit because I pay attention when I watch these meetings. So for your own personal edification, the reason your MOA was not processed at the last meeting was because these 4 obstructionists put their cover up and their malfeasance ahead of your MOA. So that's it. So now we can get to the big stuff, the letter. I think the letter is I think a lot of people have seen this letter. It's on, I guess, Facebook. It's been shared. And so, CJ, why don't you start the show with this? And because I'm looking at different excerpts here that I want to talk about because I have the letter in front of me.
I have the letter in front of me, too.
Yeah.
And this letter is dated September. Well, it's actually an email, but it's in a letter format that was sent out on Monday, September 28th, 2020 at 8:43 in the morning. And it was sent by Dr. Ann Dargon. And she says very clearly, I sent this email to the school committee members on Saturday. I received no response, but I didn't expect one either. Please please keep in touch. You do not deserve to be treated this way, the way you were. You are a good person. And I'm not sure who it was sent to, but the letter goes, Dear Fall River School Committee members, it's been 3 weeks since I resigned from the Fall River Public School Department. Each and every day, I miss my colleagues in Fall River. I love the work and saw us on the cusp of great things happening. I shared some of why I resigned with Mr. Corey in July. Okay, first one, here's the timeline. Mr. Corey in July. But I feel that the rest of you need to know about the toxic work environment at Rock Street. I was one of the lucky ones as I was able to get a job and walk away from the hostile work environment. I left some of my colleagues behind who were the subject of the superintendent's wrath daily. And this is the reason why I write. I now work for a superintendent who is kind and caring. He knows how to lead without bullying and threatening people. You need to know what is or was happening in the Fall River public school system. This is going to get interesting, to say the least. There was...
Yeah, I'm assuming that this email was initially directed to Brian Michael Azak, the individual who was the butt of this stuff. But I will just...
And I'll tell you who
was
sent to. It was sent to Mimi Larrabee, Paul Hart, Paul Coogan, Kevin Aguiar, Josh Hetzler, and Mark Costa. So all the school committee members got a copy of this email, and it's much longer. Believe me, there's a lot more interesting information in there.
Yeah, it's 2.5 pages. I recommend you all read it, but we're going to hit a couple of excerpts here. But I think that the key point in the first paragraph is that Mr. Corey, a school committeeman, this was pointed out to him in July. It's February. So he was aware of it in July. This letter was sent out in September. It's February. So they can't plead ignorance. Now, you take this, which is only a portion of what this individual does in his hostile work. This only deals with the discrimination against an American with disabilities. But remember, this behavior is carried over to females and to people who are older. But she does allude to age but this is the reference. There was bullying and inappropriate language used every day by the superintendent. Brian Michael Azak took the brunt of it. Took the brunt of the harassment. He was belittled often. He was called a, quote, moron and a, quote, idiot and a, quote, F asterisk, 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 asterisk up on a regular basis. The superintendent would walk into the conference room full of people and ask, is this the day I fire you? To Brian. And it goes on. Then he was called a, quote, effing idiot. And it goes on and on. Loser, in front of people, in front of witnesses. And then she goes on to say that there were people, including Tom Coogan, who've witnessed this behavior. They witnessed it. She lists the people who were there. And I will get to that later. But this is absolutely reprehensible. I mean, this guy has got a history of being sued out of school districts. These people were aware of this behavior. They covered it up and they rehired it. Now they want to rehire him again. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be an online petition, CAG, which I started, which is the Citizens Alliance for the Accountability in Government. We will be circulating an online petition to have the city council open up a full investigation by an independent organization, and also for them to get that $25,000 report that we paid and make it public. And I want an investigation I want an investigation to also into the conduct and the malfeasance of these school committeemen, because they were aware of this type of behavior. If you believe that a school committeeman should not only enable this, but be accessories before, during, and after the fact of this reprehensible behavior, well, vote for them. As far as I'm concerned, they are guilty of maybe some criminal acts and at the minimum, malfeasance of a public official. They should resign from those positions. This is inexcusable to allow this kind of hostile work environment for the employees of the city of Fall River, and then expose the taxpayers to millions of dollars worth of lawsuits because they took no action. So as far as I'm concerned, they should be named in a lawsuit too, because their inaction, their inability to do their job and fire this train wreck that we call a superintendent, they're the ones that are responsible for this lawsuit. I don't believe these people would have filed lawsuits if they would have canned them. They would have said, okay, you guys, we got rid of this guy and we're satisfied. Maybe we can go to work without the sword of Damocles hanging over our head. This is absolutely inexcusable behavior. And they did it. That's why I think it's more than just malfeasance. They did it for gain, financial gain. We know that Mark Costa's wife got a job. She not only got a job, they created a job for her because she was not the first candidate they wanted. And they were told by the superintendent, it's alleged, but we can check it. That's why we need an investigation. They were told, I want her hired. Even though we've got somebody there, hire her anyway. So they created a job specifically for her. We also know that Tom Corey's got people. We also know Mimi Larrivee has a brother who's looking at financial gain if he gets a pay raise or something from there. There is all kinds of collusion. There are all kinds of questions. And I'm not convicting anybody yet because they're entitled to due process. The only person I'm convicting is the superintendent. The superintendent has acknowledged he did these things. But the rest of these people were aware of them. And their acquiescence, their silence in the face of this inexcusable behavior. God, everybody's calling me today. I got to shut this phone off. Timeout. I didn't put it on vibrate. The day I don't put it on vibrate, it's ringing every 5 minutes. But This is the biggest cover-up I have ever seen in the 40 years I've been involved in Fall River politics and dealing with these people. This is inexcusable. If you want people representing you who are going to blow millions of your dollars and allow someone to abuse people who are just trying to go to work and do their job, put yourself in their place. If you're a woman, would you want to be sexually harassed? If you have a disability, would you want to be bullied and badgered and demeaned in this manner? And if you are older, do you want to say we're going to throw you out like the trash because you're too old? I want to surround myself with young, good-looking girls that I can harass. If this is what you want, by all means, vote for these people. But I think right now their actions deserve it's malfeasance at the least, and I believe they actually colluded, and they got a financial gain. We need a full investigation, and we need that report to be made public. CJ, take it away.
I'm reading it on through this letter, and I mean it makes me even question the validity of school committee meetings. We were afraid to speak at school committee meetings. If we said anything, if we said something the superintendent didn't like but was truthful, we paid emotionally for it the next day. We often saw the superintendent's head shaking, and we had to look like idiots and change our story on camera. Mr. Aguiar often picked up on that, but probably didn't know it was because our leader was delivering the evil eye or angry facial expression. The superintendent sent demeaning texts to us during school committee meetings. Was this an open meeting law violation to text while in a meeting, subject to FOIA requests? I do not know of many superintendents who disengage and text while in a school committee meeting. He even forced his staff to lie. I mean, what kind of things is this? But here's the clicker. Here's the clink. There were times when I had to ask Tom Coogan, Director of Human Resources, Mayor's brother, to sit in on my meetings with the superintendent because I was afraid of the superintendent. On Monday, January 13, 2020, I asked Tom to sit in on such a meeting. Cindy and Patrick were also in the meeting. The superintendent was calling a 6-year-old a sexual predator and wanted the student suspended for 90 days. He called Attorney Joyce on the phone and was screaming to all of us to make it happen. I later called Attorney Joyce to apologize for the superintendent's behavior. When we reminded the superintendent that other students had engaged in worse behavior than the 6-year-old boy, he said that those behaviors from 2 second-grade girls were just lesbian behavior. Shouldn't we be taking care of all our children and not putting them out of school for 90 days at the age of 6? I still have copies of the threatening text sent to me the day before from the superintendent, which was on a Sunday. As was his usual style, many folks who did not need to know were on text and emails.
Well, you're right. And I got a couple here that are reprehensible about badgering women. This is an excerpt. This did not happen every day, but many days. He made Lisa Scorpio cry, and I have no idea who she is. He made Paula Soares cry. No one should have to endure such bullying and abuse. Then I go to the real important one here, in my opinion. This is the paragraph. It's time the bullying and hostile work environment stop. We witnessed affairs and flirting with the staff by our leader, which made folks like me uncomfortable. We witnessed inappropriate language, swearing, screaming by our leader. We witnessed the leader bullying certain folks, yet these folks remained loyal to him. Now listen now, this is important. Tom Coogan, Kevin Almeida, I believe is the treasurer.
Yes.
Ken Pacheco and Michael Lost, and I don't know who that guy is, but et cetera, were all witnesses at one time or another. So maybe we know why they're covering this up. They were all aware of this behavior. Tom Corey in July, the entire school committee, at least in September, but I'm sure they knew. And now we have Tom Coogan. Maybe that may be the reason the man recused himself, because if this thing came to light, his brother should be liable. He's the you think a human resources guy or whatever his euphemistic title is should have moved and went public and demanded that the superintendent be removed after doing some of these, mind-boggling, unprofessional and frankly illegal things. Ken Pacheco speaks for himself. That's the guy who refused to name names at the 22 windows. And he basically admitted in front of the city council that he knew who it was, but he wasn't going to tell them. And what did he get for that? A promotion. You wonder why Fall River's so screwed up? There you go. Kevin Almeida wanted to keep his job as treasurer because it's an unnecessary job, because we have a treasurer with a staff to deal with the city finances and what they're using the city finances. So we see this is about covering up. Now we know why these people closed ranks and fought so hard to keep that report buried. Because I was told that if you read that report, this letter is a comic book version. This doesn't even scratch the surface of what that report reveals. The quote to me was, if you read that report, you'll know that this guy shouldn't get a job as a bagger in a grocery store. And this is what they covered up. They not only covered it up, but they gained financial rewards. This is very, very important. I am going to call the Attorney General's office and see what there are a lot of liabilities here. I'm not sure if Bruce Assad violated his canon of ethics as an attorney by not turning this superintendent in for his behavior. It's not his job to cover up crimes and public malfeasance. And I will be checking with the Board of Bar Overseers on that one. So there's a lot of activity here that is malfeasance at the least, public malfeasance at the least, but may be collusion and criminal activities. That's why the city council, who appropriated the school budget, has the right to open this investigation, because we are going to spend millions of dollars in taxpayers' money, and we have improper behavior by elected officials who, by our Constitution, are answerable to us at all times.
Well, this woman here took a big chance when she sent this letter. But I want to point out something, that in January of 2020, remember, keep these timelines in perspective, the superintendent told me in a casual conversation that despite my proficient and exemplary evaluation, he would not be renewing my contract 18 months later. In 18 months, he's already telling her, I'm not going to renew your contract. In 2021, because he wanted to surround himself with younger people. He felt that Amy, Alicia, and Brian R. would want my job. I did not share what he said with a few folks if you need confirmation. And I was so shocked by what he said at that time. Was this age discrimination? Vanessa Reel, Kathy Cavallo, and Lisa Scorpio were all non-renewed. All women and all over the age of 60. All in the same year. No men at all. I mean, this speaks volumes. This speaks volumes. If this man had any respect for himself or respect for the school system, he would resign. He would resign and leave now before we get hit with millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits. And if the school committee gang of four had any respect for the school system, that they represent, the children they represent, and the voters that elected them, they would come out with a public apology, and they would disclose what was contained in that investigative report. It's that simple. Or they should resign. You can't have this.
Unfortunately, I believe they owe the public an apology, but I believe they should resign. They are at least, and I'm going to read you the definition from Merriam-Webster, and you can get it in a law dictionary, of malfeasance. We know we have malfeasance, misfeasance, and all affeasances. We've talked about them on this. It's good. But it is wrongdoing or misconduct, especially by a public official. There's nothing more wrong, and there's no greater misconduct than continuing to employ an individual who has done what he has admitted to. He's apologized. An apology isn't enough. It's just staggeringly incomprehensible to me how these people who have, one of them is a female. 3 of them, I'm sure, all 3 have children. How would they like their daughters to be referred to as effing C's, to be made to cry, to be bullied and badgered? How would they like one of their handicapped relatives to be called an effing idiot, a moron? How would they like to be thrown out of the job they've been doing and doing well for decades because the superintendent wants a younger chick to harass? And they covered this up. This is why they didn't want to release the report. And this letter proves it. Tom Corey was given this information in July. And the rest of the council, you're not going to tell me they didn't know what was going on, because they're saying there were people who witnessed this. This is the most massive cover-up I've ever seen. And they benefited. Just like Kenny Pacheco wouldn't name names on the windows, so he gets a nice big fat job over in the school department to pad his pension. These guys cover it up. They get jobs for their friends. And they're all going to bury it. They're all going to work together. I really have to thank this woman. She's a PhD, I assume. Maybe you should call her doctor.
That's what I call her. Right,
doctor, because you're going to be like Jill. We got to call her doctor. Even though she's not a medical doctor, we got to call her doctor. But, I have to give her, a tremendous amount of kudos for having, even though she's not in the system anymore. But, she could have just said, look, I got a good job. I'm working for a professional superintendent in a good work environment. Screw it. I don't care. Let those people suffer. But she had enough regard for her former co-workers to put this in writing so we could see. And now that the light has been shined on this, the city council is going to get a petition, and the city council, in my opinion, is obligated to get a full and independent investigation. They have a new attorney. First thing that attorney should do is demand that report.
I agree.
Demand that report and begin to figure out how we're going to look into this. And then we find out not only what the superintendent did, because that report's only about the superintendent's follies, but their investigation should extend into whether there are any violations of the law, ethics, and there's definitely malfeasance on the part of that gang of FOA and the HR director.
I got to cut you off. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for watching. We do not have a show on Monday. Please remember, follow this story on Facebook. We're there. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay angry, and wear a mask.
God, I thought that's it.